She washes dishes, CEO adopts her. The shocking moment that left everyone speechless. In a small town buzzing with everyday drama, the extraordinary had just begun to unfold. Charlie, a humble woman with calloused hands from years of washing dishes in the back of Joni's diner, had become the epicenter of a jaw-dropping twist. One moment she was scrubbing greasy plates, the next, she was standing under the spotlight as the CEO of a billion-dollar tech company entered the diner. His name was Alex Rivers, a billionaire known for his ruthlessness in the boardroom. But that day, he seemed different, a glimmer of something human behind his icy demeanor. As the door swung open, the bell chimed, an innocent sound that silenced the chatter. All eyes turned toward the towering figure, and a collective gasp filled the air. People leaned forward, curiosity sparking in their eyes like fireworks. What was he doing here? A man of his stature surrounded by opulence wouldn't he be caught dead in a place like this? Charlie's heart raced. Her chest tightened with an unexpected thrill. She wiped her hands on her apron, nerves buzzing like soda pop. She thought, maybe for a brief moment, that he was just passing through. But then he approached the counter. The world outside melted away. With every step, his polished shoes echoed against the diner floor, creating an electric anticipation in the room. "What do you recommend?" he asked, his deep voice sending shivers through Charlie. She blinked, overwhelmed by the sudden attention. The apple pie is great," she stammered, the words escaping her lips like fragile birds. A twisted smile crept across his face as he nodded and ordered it along with coffee. Then came the moment that left everyone speechless. Just minutes after taking a seat by the window, his phone rang, loud and insistent. He glanced at the screen, his expression shifting from casual to tense in a heartbeat. "I have to take this," he said sharply, rushing outside. The diner erupted with hushed whispers, speculation swirling around like autumn leaves. What was happening? "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads-up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." As Charlie cleaned the counter, an unsettling sensation gnawed at her gut. The world outside was in chaos. People moved hurriedly past the window, their faces tight with anxiety. Charlie could feel the weight of something monumental pressing down on her. Then she saw him again, walking back inside, but this time, his expression was grim. He locked eyes with Charlie, and everything around her faded. Suddenly, the phone rang again, tearing her from the silence. He whipped it out, and she caught a single phrase: "It's about the adoption, you need to be ready." A chill ran down her spine. Adoption? Was he talking about her? She felt a lump form in her throat. What did this mean for her, a waitress in a diner, alongside a man whose name could make headlines? The tension was palpable. Charlie's heart raced as she fought the urge to shout, to demand answers. But her instincts told her to wait, to watch and see what the future would bring. She was on the edge of something big, and she could almost taste it. What would happen next? She could hardly breathe, curiosity clawing at her insides. Would she become part of his world, or would she be left behind, just another waitress with a dream? The silence in Joni's diner was deafening as Charlie stood there, her mind racing with confusion and hope. What did Alex Rivers mean by the adoption? She washed dishes for a living. The idea that someone like him would want anything to do with her felt like a dream, yet the weight of his words pulled her deep into the murky waters of reality. Alex strode back to the counter, his brows furrowed, anxiety radiating off him like static electricity. He appeared composed, yet there was an undercurrent of desperation simmering beneath the surface. Charlie tried to breathe, but her chest constricted with every passing second. "Charlie," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper, forcing her to focus entirely on him. The world around them blurred into obscurity. "I need to talk to you. It's important." A part of her wanted to shatter the ice between them with a laugh, to say it was just a misunderstanding, but another part of her felt the gravity of the moment. She nodded, biting her tongue to stifle the flood of questions threatening to pour out. Customers gossiped quietly, glancing at the two, intrigue etched on their faces. "Can we talk outside?" His tone was urgent, unyielding. Charlie swallowed, following him through the throng of curious eyes. She felt like an animal on display, anxiety crawling beneath her skin. As they stepped outside, the clamor of the diner faded into a distant hum. The sun hung low in the sky, sending twisted shadows across the pavement. Alex's phone rang again. He grimaced at the screen before shoving it into his pocket, ignoring the buzz. "Charlie, I need you to trust me." He shifted his weight, the stance of a man holding the fate of 1,000 decisions on his shoulders. "What I said inside, it's linked to something bigger than you or me. It's about a family." "The adoption?" She blurted, her pulse quickening. Was this some kind of twisted joke? Alex had money, power, connections. What could he possibly want with a diner waitress? "Yes," he replied, his gaze penetrating. "My brother passed." His voice cracked, and he paused, gathering his emotions. "He had a daughter, and her future is uncertain. I'm trying to do right by her, but it's complicated." Confusion washed over her. "But how does this involve me?" Charlie shook her head, trying to make sense of it. Just when she thought her struggle as a humble waitress couldn't get any more complicated, it was spiraling into a direction that felt surreal. "Charlie, I'm not just looking for a mother figure. I'm looking for someone genuine who can connect with her. Someone who understands what it means to struggle and fight for a better life," he explained, his earnestness shining through his otherwise hard exterior. She stepped back, her heart pounding. "You don't even know me. I'm just a waitress. I can't just become a mother or whatever you're asking." "It's not about that," he pressed. "It's about giving her a chance, a family. And I see something in you, something special." His eyes locked onto hers, desperate and vulnerable. Her mind swirled with uncertainty. Could she really step into a role so far removed from her reality? Curiosity met dread, igniting a whirlwind of emotion. At that moment, the diner door swung open, and a sudden, wild commotion erupted as a woman ran out, her face pale and frantic. "Alex! You need to come, something has happened." Charlie's stomach dropped. She felt a chill creep down her spine, realizing whatever was about to unfold would change everything. "What now?" Alex hissed, and in that moment, Charlie understood that fate had just stepped in, clawing at the edges of their already tangled lives. As they both turned back toward the diner entrance, heartbeats thrumming in sync, Charlie could hardly breathe. Why was everything suddenly spiraling? What was about to be revealed? Whatever was coming would test everything she thought she knew about her world and herself. The woman who had burst out of the diner appeared frantic, her face glistening with sweat as if she'd just sprinted a marathon. "You need to see this. It's urgent." Her voice trembled, echoing the panic that was now spreading like wildfire. Alex's demeanor shifted, the anxious energy that had once crackled between them was replaced by a more pressing urgency. He took a step toward the woman, eyes narrowing, brows knit tightly together. "What happened? Is it about Emily?" The name struck Charlie like a lightning bolt, paralyzing her in place. Emily. The daughter he had mentioned, the girl caught on the edge of uncertainty. "Yes. You have to come. It's bad." The woman's breath came in ragged gasps, and Charlie felt the world tilt beneath her. She didn't know the details, but the gravity in the woman's voice was enough to set her heart racing again. "What now?" Alex barked, urgency coating every syllable. He grabbed Charlie's wrist gently, pulling her with him as if instinctively sensing she needed to be near him. The world swirled, she was standing at the brink of something monumental. The three of them rushed inside the diner, the ambient clattering of plates, the murmurs of patrons all faded into the background. Charlie felt the eyes on them once more, a collective consciousness tagging along for this most unexpected of journeys. The diner was dimmer now, the glow in the room dulled as tension thickened the air. "Where's Emily?" Alex's voice cracked, a note of fear slipping through. "She's south at the park. They found her with someone, and it doesn't look good," the woman stuttered. The weight of the words settled heavily on Charlie's shoulders. A sinking feeling anchored in her stomach. What did that mean? "Show me." Alex's command sliced through the anxiety. Without waiting for another word, he bolted for the door. The woman turned and followed, her resolve barely holding together. Charlie stumbled behind them, adrenaline coursing through her veins, her heart pounding like a war drum. Outside, the sky had grown ominous. Clouds loomed overhead, thick and dark, reflecting the storm brewing within. Charlie struggled to keep up, apprehension gnawing at her. She was a waitress, not a protector. What could she do? Please let her be okay. The words slipped from her lips before she could catch them. She was pleading for a child she had never met, but the name echoed loudly in her thoughts. Emily was more than an orphan, she was someone in need of help. As they reached the park, an unsettling scene lay before them. A small crowd had formed, panic punctured by whispers. Charlie's breath caught in her throat. In the center, a little girl sat on the grass, small and fragile, surrounded by a group of adults. The anxious murmurs mixed with the distant sound of sirens heading their way. Charlie's heart raced, and a lump formed in her throat. Alex pushed through the gathering crowd, desperation fueling his strides. "Emily!" He called out, his voice echoing like a desperate prayer. Suddenly, there was movement. The little girl raised her head, eyes wide and frightened. As her gaze met Alex's, Charlie felt as if a jolt had fused through her. There was something in those wide eyes that struck a chord deep within her, a shared, inexplicable connection. "Please, be okay," Charlie whispered, trembling with uncertainty. The crowd shifted, and a moment later, a dark figure stepped forward from the shadows. A man, tall with a presence that seemed to chill the air, marched towards them. Charlie felt an instinctive shiver run down her spine. "Alex Rivers," he said coldly, locking eyes with Alex. "You've been waiting for me." The air crackled with tension, the world around them spinning into chaos. Everything was about to come undone, paths intertwining in ways Charlie never imagined possible. What did this man want, and how was he connected to Emily? The storm was brewing, and they were all caught in its wake. The man took another step closer, the crowd parting like waves around him. His face was a mask of calm in a storm of chaos. Charlie felt sweat bead at her temples, her heart pounding as she stood frozen, caught between dread and disbelief. "Who are you?" Alex spat, his voice steadier than Charlie felt. "Who I am doesn't matter. What matters is what you've done," the man replied, a chilling smile creeping across his lips. The air thickened with tension, a tension so palpable Charlie could almost taste it. "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" Alex's voice cracked this time, betraying the fear he was trying to mask. "Emily is the key. Didn't you realize? Your past has come back to haunt you," the man said, his tone dripping with condescension. Charlie's chest tightened with panic. She cast a glance over at Emily, who was still sitting on the grass, her small shoulders quivering as if she could sense the danger lurking near her. "Let her go." Charlie blurted out, stepping forward instinctively, despite the gnawing voice in her head telling her to retreat. The man's dark eyes flickered toward her, assessing her as if she were an insect under a lens. "Ah, a brave soul, aren't you? But bravery won't save her." A low murmur spread through the crowd, a cloud of unease settling over them. The distant sirens grew louder, the shrill wail piercing through the thick veil of anxiety. "Emily!" Alex shouted again, desperation filling every corner of his voice. But the little girl remained silent, her eyes darting between her father and the lurking figure, trembling like a leaf caught in a whirlwind. Charlie felt her stomach lurch. She had to do something. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Why are you doing this?" The man regarded her, a flicker of amusement dancing in his eyes. "You all want answers, don't you? But the truth is a fragile thing. One wrong move and it shatters." He leaned closer, his voice lowering as if he were sharing a dark secret. "The truth about who you really are, Alex. Every choice has its consequence." Charlie took another step forward, her pulse racing. "This has nothing to do with us. Just let her go. She's just a kid." A sudden burst of laughter erupted from the man, slicing through the tension. "You think this is about her? No, sweet girl. It's about your fragility, your choices. Everything in this town is connected past, present. Emily is merely the thread pulling it all together." "What the hell are you talking about?" Alex's fists clenched at his side, his entire body shaking with rage and fear, but before the man could respond, a commotion erupted at the edge of the crowd. More people were arriving, their faces painting a picture of dread and confusion. Charlie turned briefly, hoping for help, only to hear the man's voice thread through her thoughts. "Make your choice, Alex. Save her, or watch everything you love slip away." With those final words, he backed away slightly, a whirlwind of shadows encasing him as he seemed to vanish into thin air. The crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath marking the moment his menace evaporated. Charlie turned back to Emily, who was now looking at Alex, tears filling her wide eyes. What just happened?" Charlie murmured, her entire body trembling. Alex knelt down before Emily, the fierce determination etched onto his face. "I won't let anything happen to you. I promise." Through the cacophony of rising panic and uncertainty, Charlie's mind raced. What did the man mean? What choices were they left to make in this nightmare? The storm was still brewing, and they were no closer to an answer than before. As the first drops of rain began to fall, a thought struck Charlie with electric force. Maybe, just maybe, the truth could change everything, but how far would they have to go to uncover it? The question lingered heavily, merging with the darkness of the gathering storm. What other secrets lay hidden in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered? Charlie's heart raced as she stood paralyzed, the echo of the man's haunting words still resonating in her mind. People around them swarmed in bewilderment, whispers woven with panic bouncing like bullets. She could hear fragments of their conversations, words like patience, danger, and what did he mean? Charlie. Alex's voice broke through her fog. He had risen, now gripping Emily's small shoulders gently, squeezing as if to anchor them both in this chaotic moment. We have to figure this out. We can't let him control the narrative. The rain began to pour, drenching the crowd and turning the park into a mirror of confusion. Charlie could feel the cold drops against her skin, shock mingling with the warmth of desperation. She glanced at Emily, who was staring up at her father, the innocence in her eyes dimmed by fear, a stark contrast to the fierce winds howling around them. What do you want to do? Charlie forced herself to ask, her voice low, steady. Alex's jaw clenched. That man knows something. We can't just stand here. We need to find him. There was a spark of determination in his eyes, but beneath that, she sensed the undercurrents of fear and uncertainty coiling tightly. What about Emily? Charlie asked, looking down at the little girl, whose small fingers clutched at Alex's shirt. Emily spoke up, her voice barely audible over the din of the crowd. Daddy, I'm scared. With a swift glance, Alex knelt down, wrapping his arms around Emily, pulling her closer. I know, sweetheart. We won't let anything happen to you. Charlie's heart twisted. But she couldn't just wait for the storm to pass. There had to be something they could do. Maybe we can talk to the people here. Someone might have seen him. He couldn't have vanished completely. The thought hung in the air, heavy with possibility. They turned to the burgeoning crowd, eyes darting from face to face, searching for someone who might offer answers rather than stoked fear. Charlie's pulse thundered in her throat as she approached a man standing nearby, his eyes wide with shock. "Did you see where he went?" she asked urgently, her voice edged with hope. The man shook his head slowly, as if trying to awaken from a terrible dream. "I didn't see anything, just he was here, and then nothing." He looked at them, confusion mixing with terror. As Charlie felt her frustration mounting, her eyes drifted back to Emily. That little girl was at the center of this, the focal point of this twisted maze they found themselves trapped in. Just then, a ripple of awakening surged through the crowd. A woman shouted at her children, pulling them closer, panic etched on her features. "We need to get out of here. This isn't safe." Charlie's attention snapped back to Alex. What if he's not just a threat to Emily? What if he's hiding something even bigger? Something connected to this town? Alex's brow furrowed, processing, piecing it together. "You think he's trying to make us uncover a hidden truth about our pasts? Maybe about the town's secrets?" Charlie nodded, intensity brewing between them. "We have to dig deeper. We can't sit back while our lives are being played with. We need to find the courage to confront whatever that was. Whatever he left behind." With newfound clarity, they turned towards the park's edges, where shadows shifted ominously beneath the trees. As the rain intensified, thickening the air with their urgency, Charlie took a deep breath, emboldened by Alex's resolve and Emily's trust. "Let us go find the answers and that man. He holds the key." Just then, a glimmer caught Charlie's eye, a dark shape flitting between the trees. It was there one moment, gone the next, leaving behind a trail of foreboding. "What was that?" she whispered, her breath hitching in anticipation. Alex's hand tightened around Emily as they moved cautiously toward the trees, their hearts racing, knowing they were now stepping into a labyrinth of truths, lies, and revelations that could change everything. But would they be ready for the reality waiting for them within those shadows? The unease settled in, an echo of questions unanswered, propelling them forward into the unknown. What other horrors lay waiting just beyond the edge of the darkness? The shadows loomed larger as Charlie, Alex, and Emily inched closer to the dense trees at the park's edge. The rain pounded down like 1,000 whispers, each droplet pummeling their resolve. Every heart in their trio raced, and the air felt charged with unspoken fears and raw desperation. "Can you see anything?" Charlie whispered, her voice barely rising above the storm's roar. Alex squinted, trying to glimpse the shape that had darted moments ago. But the darkness behind the trees held no immediate answers, just more shadows lurking like ghosts. Emily clutched her father tightly, her wide eyes darting to each swell of movement, each rustle among the leaves. "I don't like it here," she murmured, her voice tremulous. "I know, sweetheart," Alex replied. The tenderness in his tone provided a brief comfort, but Charlie felt the tension crackling between them. With determination swelling inside her, Charlie took a step forward, the grip of the unknown tightening around her. "We need to press on. If he's hiding something, it's out there somewhere." The trees formed an intricate maze, dark and foreboding, their branches intertwining like the lies that surrounded their lives. "Keep close," Alex said, and they moved deeper, the ground squelching beneath their feet, mud splattering against Charlie's jeans. Suddenly, there it was again, movement. A figure darted silently between the trunks. Charlie's stomach dropped. "Did you see that?" she whispered intensely, adrenaline spiking her heartbeat. "Yes." Alex responded, the urgency in his voice unmistakable. "We're close." They pressed forward, heartbeats synchronized in the muted chaos of the storm. But as they pushed deeper into the underbrush, Charlie noticed something glimmering beneath a cluster of leaves, a glint of metal. She knelt, her heart pounding in her ears as she revealed an old locket, tarnished and nearly buried. She wiped the grime off, her fingers trembling that it bore a faded photo of a woman, her smile hauntingly familiar. "I know her," Charlie stammered, grasping the locket tightly now as memories flooded back. This woman had been in family albums, a long-lost relative, or so she had thought. But before she could delve deeper into her thoughts, a chill swept through the air. "Charlie! Look!" Alex's voice cut through the fog of confusion, his gaze locked on a silhouette just beyond the trees. There it was, the man. He stood motionless, face half hidden by a hood, his presence ethereal, eerie. The air crackled between them as he grinned, a knowing smile that sent shivers racing down Charlie's spine. "Searching for answers?" he called, his tone mocking, yet layered with something deeper malice, perhaps. "What lies beneath your familiar past is far more dangerous than you imagine." The ground felt like it was shifting beneath Charlie's feet. "Who are you?" she shouted, though her voice wavered, betraying her fear. He removed his hood, the rain streaming down his face yet leaving his smile untouched. "That, dear Charlie, is a question for another time. But remember, the truth you seek is always there, hidden in places you're scared to look." Without waiting for a response, he melted back into the shadows, disappearing as quickly as he had appeared, leaving behind an unsettling silence. "Did he just?" Alex began, but the words wouldn't form. His eyes wide with disbelief. Charlie's fingers tightened around the locket, confusion warring with dread. Was this the key to everything? Or merely another twisting point in their already tangled lives? "Let us get out of here," she urged, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "We need to figure this out. Now." As they retraced their steps, the weight of the locket pressed against her palm, a bitter reminder of what lay ahead. She glanced at Alex and Emily, determination flooding through her heart. But just as they reached the edge of the trees, a piercing scream erupted from within the park, drawing them back with an almost magnetic pull. "What was that?" Emily gasped, her fear palpable. Charlie's chest tightened as something dark unfurled in her mind, whispering promises of danger. "I don't know, but we can't ignore it. We need to go back." And just like that, they found themselves once again standing at the threshold of chaos, the storm raging around them, the night still young and filled with unsolved mysteries. What awaited them now? Would they uncover the answers they desperately needed, or were they about to plunge into an even darker abyss? The scream sliced through the downpour, sending chills racing down Charlie's spine. It was a sound filled with terror, raw and piercing, echoing among the trees like a warning bell. Every instinct told her to turn away, yet something deeper urged her to move forward. "Stay close." Alex's voice was a taut whisper, laced with urgency. Emily's small hand gripped Charlie's tighter, her young face pale and trembling. As they cautiously stepped back into the darkness of the trees, every shadow felt alive, the storm's ferocity amplifying their fears. "What if it's someone in trouble?" Charlie said, the words tasting bitter on her tongue. "That scream, it didn't sound like someone playing around," Alex muttered, darting nervous glances around them. "We have to be careful." But even as doubt crept in, the thought of leaving without investigating gnawed at Charlie. They moved through the tangled thicket, branches snagging at their clothes as they pressed deeper into the gloom. Suddenly, the rain poured heavier, reducing visibility to just a few feet. The nearby trees loomed like giants in the storm, swaying and creaking ominously. A guttural sound, a mix of a whimper and a plea, wove its way through the chaos, freezing Charlie in her tracks. "Did you hear that?" she breathed, her heart pounding wildly. "Yeah," Alex nodded, scanning the dark horizons of foliage. "This way." They crept forward, driven by sheer adrenaline. Emerging into a small clearing, they found themselves transfixed. There, on the wet ground, lay a figure. The breath hitched in Charlie's throat. It was a woman, soaked and shivering, etched in shadows and half lit by the frantic flashes of lightning. "Help!" she gasped, eyes desperately searching for connection. Charlie felt her heart race, pounding against her ribcage. "Stay back," Alex warned, his protective instinct flaring up. The woman's face was marred by panic, eyes wide and haunting. It was as if she bore an ancient sorrow, one that had planted itself deep in her bones. "Please, don't leave me." The woman's voice cracked, echoed by the thunderous sky. "They're coming. They know who's coming?" Charlie found herself asking, but the question hung in the air like a ghost, unanswered. "I don't know." The woman screamed, her eyes wild with fear. You have to. A rustle from the trees sliced through the moment, and Charlie turned just in time to catch movement, figures emerging from the shadows, dark shapes against the rain. Her breath hitched in her throat. They were dressed in black, face obscured, emerging like phantoms from a cursed nightmare. "Run!" Alex shouted, his voice raw. He grabbed Emily's hand and pulled her away, but Charlie was frozen, her gaze locked on the terrified woman. "Charlie, we can't stay." But before she could take a step, the figures surged forward, advancing with purpose. No longer just shadows, but threats cloaked in darkness. "Get down!" Alex yelled, yanking Charlie back just as a hand reached for her. They stumbled, falling to the mud, hearts racing out of control. The figures fanned out, announcing their purpose with menacing authority. Charlie's mind churned, questions boiling to the surface. What do they want? Why are they after her? The woman gasped, "You don't understand. They want the locket. It holds the truth of everything. You must protect it." Charlie's heart raced at the word truth. Reality twisted and turned, the night thickening with dread, choices looming large. What was it with this locket that held such significance? "Alex," she gasped, the weight of the world crashing down on them. "We have to help her." But just as determination sparked in her chest, one of the figures lunged forward. "Get the locket!" he shouted, voice ice cold, cutting through the chaos. Charlie felt her breath quicken, panic setting in. Which choices would lead them to safety, and which would seal their fate? With a surge of instinct, she clutched the locket closer and prepared to make a move, her only connection to unraveling the nightmare that encircled them. But as the rain fell heavier, drenching their resolve, Charlie realized the path ahead would demand more than courage. It would require confronting secrets that were buried deep. The questions festered in the depths of her soul. Who were these figures? What did they know? And ultimately, would they be able to escape the tangled web closing in around them? "I'll distract them," Charlie shouted, the words rushing from her lips like a desperate prayer. She didn't know what she was thinking, but as the dark figures advanced, her instincts clashed with her fear. "Charlie, no!" Emily cried, her small voice lost in the storm. But Charlie was already scrambling to her feet, pushing through the mud to put herself between the woman and the looming shadows. "You can't let them take her," she yelled, hoping to convince her trembling heart to play the hero. "Stay back!" One figure snapped, voice hoarse and threatening. The storm raged on around them, the air thick with tension. Lightning flashed, illuminating their faces, revealing cold expressions and hard eyes. "Charlie," Alex hissed, pulling on her arm. "We have to go now." "No," she insisted, feeling the weight of the locket in her palm. "I'm not abandoning her." The woman's eyes pleaded with Charlie, shimmering with a mix of terror and gratitude. "Protect it. It's the key," she whispered, her voice cracking as the figures closed in. A sudden noise, a branch snapping underfoot, split through the air. Charlie whipped her head around in panic. Another figure had appeared, eyes flashing with fury. "Get the locket, now." This one moved with speed, bolting for them. "Run!" Alex shouted again, and in that moment, Charlie felt herself torn between loyalty and survival. With each heartbeat, the air thickened with fear. The dark figures surged forward, a wave of shadows crashing against her resolve. Charlie lifted the locket, clutching it tight, as if it could protect them. But what if it was the very thing that drew the danger closer? The woman took a shaky breath. It's in your hands now. Before Charlie could react, Alex grabbed her wrist, dragging her back into the swirling rain. Emily stumbled beside them, her small frame dwarfed by the oncoming threat. Charlie's feet felt rooted, but Alex's grip was fierce, forcing her to rejoin the fight or flight instinct. They tore through the trees, barely able to see. The rain smashed down, a fierce drumroll against their hearts. Behind them, horrified shouts echoed, fingers reaching, desperate and hungry. Charlie dared a glance back just as a figure slipped and fell, losing ground in the mud. Keep moving. Don't look back. Alex urged, leading them with fierce determination. They plunged deeper into the thicket, the darkness swallowing them whole. Terror pulled at Charlie's chest like a vice. What if they catch us? What if the locket focus? We'll think about that later. Alex snapped, desperation giving him power. They ducked beneath branches, the forest becoming a maze of shadows and sounds. Rain battered down like a relentless storm of grief and chaos. Each breath felt shallow, weighed down by unshed fear. The pulsing anger of the storm rumbled above, providing a cover for their escape, yet the urgency clawed at her mind. What if they were too late? It was then, when the panicked thoughts deepened, that Charlie swiveled her head to see the woman she hadn't followed. Where's she? Charlie's voice shook, dread pooling in her stomach. She was right behind us. Alex shouted, but confusion etched his face. She can't be. They'll get her. I have to go back. Charlie declared, the words erupting with a force she didn't know she possessed. No. Alex insisted, but Charlie was already tearing away from him, driven by a fragile thread of hope. Each step was a battle against reason, pulse pounding in her ears. As she veered off into the darkness, a scream echoed through the storm. A mix of horror and urgency ignited inside her. The figures were still here, and they were ruthless. With trembling hands, Charlie pressed on, knowing she had to find the woman. But as the forest closed in, and another crash of lightning illuminated the way and the sinister growth of shadows behind her, she felt the locket grow warm against her chest. What truth could it unveil? Or worse, what truth would its revelation command? As she advanced deeper into the unknown, a haunting whisper curled around her mind. It will lead to salvation or destruction. Would she find help, or just a deeper descent into danger? With the specters of fear wrapping tight around her, Charlie took a breath and moved forward into the storm, every step dragging her closer to the heart of the mystery and its looming shadows. But what awaited her there would change everything or nothing at all. Charlie stumbled through the chaos, limbs thrashing against wet branches and slick ground. Her heart beat in her throat, each frantic pump urging her to run, to escape, yet every fiber of her being screamed for her to turn back. The woman's voice echoed in her mind. Protect it. It's the key. The rain turned to a blinding sheet, concealing everything but the whispers of doubt flooding her head. What if the woman was lost forever? What if she had already fallen prey to the shadows? Charlie had to know. She pressed deeper into the thicket, the air electric with tension. In the silence of her resolve, a sudden crash echoed nearby, a figure colliding with a tree. Charlie's heart quickened. They were closing in. Shadows danced at the edges of her vision, creeping along like wolves hunting their prey. She took another step. The forest felt alive, conspiratorial, every rustle of leaves turned sinister. Then, she heard it, a voice, splintered with panic. Charlie! Get away from here! It was Alex. His voice was distant yet urgent, drawing her attention back to the dark hearts of the woods. Fear surged again. What if he was right? But she pressed on, the locket in her grasp beginning to pulse with warmth as if it had a heartbeat of its own. The shadows ahead shifted, and breathing became a chore. Who's there? Charlie shouted into the heavy rain. Show yourself. The shadows thickened, forming a shape. Charlie squinted, her heart racing, and a figure separated from the darkness and outline of the woman. "Charlie!" she gasped, her breath sharp with fear. In that moment, fierce joy broke through Charlie's trepidation, flickering against the looming despair. But before she could move closer, a chill swept through the air, dark tendrils creeping from the forest depths like painted nightmares, slipping toward the woman. "Leave her alone!" Charlie yelled, galvanized by her protective instincts. The shadows halted, momentarily confused. The woman turned, her eyes wide with terror. "You shouldn't have come back." Charlie's pulse thudded in her ears as she stepped forward, the locket growing heavier in her grasp. "What are they?" she demanded, fear giving her a voice, though it trembled. "They're searching for the locket," the woman said, her words rushing past as if drawn by the very storm around them. "It changes everything. And they know you have it." Realization struck Charlie sharply. They weren't just after the woman, they were after her. The shadows writhed, and Charlie stumbled back, heart racing against her ribs like a caged bird. Could she really hold the power of something that could either save or ruin them all? Just then, a figure lunged from the shadows, metallic glimmer reflecting in the flash of lightning. Charlie barely had time to react before the man grabbed her wrist, seizing the locket. "Give it to me," he snarled, his eyes wild with insistence. In that moment, an impulse surged through her. She wouldn't let it go. The grip on the locket tightened in defiance. "No! It's mine!" Suddenly, the woman began to chant something under her breath, words that danced with an ancient rhythm, surrounding them in an ethereal light. The man recoiled as shadows swirled in protest, but Charlie felt the warmth of the locket fill her with courage, igniting something fierce inside her. But before she could comprehend what was happening, a shocking force erupted from the locket, throwing the figure back into the darkness with a howl of rage. Charlie stumbled, eyes wide, heart racing. What had just happened? As the squall intensified, drowning their cries, Charlie felt the ground tremble beneath her feet. "You have to choose." The woman screamed over the thunder. "What will it be? Freedom or imprisonment?" A chilling thought pierced Charlie's mind. In holding the locket, had she just triggered something that could change everything, not only for her but for those surrounding her? In the eye of the storm, as chaos raged, Charlie stood poised between destiny and disaster. But as whispers of power came flooding back, so too did the darkness, alive, relentless. What would she decide as the shadows began to close in again, their whispers growing louder, beckoning her toward peril? Would she embrace the truth of the locket, or become another victim of an ancient fate? As she prepared to respond, the ultimate choice hung in the air, one that could lead to salvation or plunge them all into darkness. The storm raged around Charlie as she clutched the locket tightly, its warmth throbbing against her palm. The echoes of thunder crashed above, thunderous applause for the chaos unfolding. The dark figure snarled, adjusting his stance as the shadows whispered around him, threatening to envelop her whole. "You need to hand it over," he yelled, urgency barbed in every word. Charlie's heart pounded like a bass drum. She could feel the weight of the world on her shoulders, the fate of the woman before her, Emily's future, and her own intertwining in irresistible knots. "No! This belongs to me!" Charlie shouted back, her voice stronger than she felt. The locket pulsed an unyielding force, sending a wave of energy through her veins. She felt its power coursing into her, revealing glimpses of strength she never knew she had. The woman's eyes glimmered with a mixture of fear and awe. "Focus, Charlie. Channel its energy. It's not just a necklace. It's the key to breaking the cycle. But you must choose wisely." Terror flickered through Charlie, but she turned to the dark figure and planted her feet firmly on the ground, refusing to back down. "What happens if I don't? What do you want with it?" she demanded, voice steady, though her insides trembled like raw nerves. "You have no idea what you're playing with," he snarled, hands extending as shadows twisted dangerously close to her. "It's not just a locket, it's a portal, a gateway to truths buried deep. Hand it over, and you'll be safe. In that instant, she grasped the gravity of her choices. The storm around her bore witness to everything: her past, the woman's pleading gaze, and Emily's trembling form on the periphery. "I won't let you control me," Charlie shouted defiantly, feeling the energy blossom inside her. "Emily deserves a chance." The figure's anger boiled over. He lunged forward, but Charlie's instinct kicked in. As she held the locket out, she felt a surge that was both exhilarating and terrifying as shadows recoiled like a struck animal. "Stop!" Charlie shouted, her voice ringing with newfound authority. The air crackled, and with each word, she willed the shadows back with both vulnerability and strength. "You don't get to take her future away." The figures hesitated, confusion flashing in their eyes as they faltered. They had underestimated her just as everyone always had. With her heart racing, Charlie stepped forward more resolutely. "This is about more than survival. It's about breaking the cycle of fear, of control. I choose freedom over imprisonment. I want Emily to be safe, and I refuse to let you take that from her." The locket glowed fiercely in response, radiating light that exploded like fireworks in the looming darkness, scattering the shadows and shattering their hold. The woman, now emboldened by Charlie's bravery, joined her and began chanting louder, each word tethered to ancient strength. Together, they wove a spell that lit the night. "Remember," the woman urged, her voice harmonizing with the storm, feeding the power surged through Charlie. "Trust in yourself." With a rush, the shadows dissipated, their whispers fading into the storm, helpless against the combined force of Charlie's defiance and the woman's wisdom. Charlie felt the energy swell within her, a force not to be trifled with, as she turned back to Emily, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's okay, sweetheart," Charlie called, kneeling beside the girl, wrapping her arms around her tiny frame. "You're safe now. We're going to find our way through this." Tears brimmed in Emily's eyes, hope igniting within her fear. "Are we really safe now?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Yes," Charlie whispered, brushing Emily's hair back soothingly. "For the first time, I think we really are." The last of the shadows fled as the wind whipped through the trees, carrying with it the remnants of fear and despair. Charlie stood back up, empowered, heart swelling with courage. The storm began to lighten, rain falling softly now, whispering promises of a new beginning, but before they departed, a quiet voice from behind said, "What have you done?" Startled, Charlie turned to see the figure emerging once more. No longer threatening, though still ominous, he looked almost human now, the shadows having shed some remnants of their darkness. "You've unleashed a truth long hidden, Charlie. The locket is both a weapon and a protector. You must wield it wisely." "What do you mean?" She pressed, confusion mixed with defiance that he stepped closer but kept his distance, eyes shimmering with ancient knowledge. "You have a great responsibility now, the power to reshape what comes next, both for yourself and for Emily. But know this truth, those who seek secrets in the shadows will always return." Charlie's resolve solidified. "Let them come. We'll be ready. Emily deserves to know love and family. She deserves a chance." With newfound strength, she glanced back at Emily. "Let us go home, okay?" Emily nodded, tears glistening, but this time they were different, they carried hope, not fear. As they turned away, Charlie felt the locket's warmth settling within her heart, a reminder that she was now part of something greater. Together, they stepped forward into the future, the dawn breaking on the horizon, ready to embrace the challenges and joys that awaited them. The storm had passed, and so, it seemed, had the shadows that once loomed over their lives. The world lay open before them, alive and full of possibilities. This was a new beginning. Now, listen up. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. I want to see those thumbs flying up. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Let us connect and hear your thoughts. Finally, share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second.